My next guest, Dr. Matt Chalmers, is on the James Show, and I want to talk to you. You're a healthy living expert, and as a healthy living attempt of a person over here, this is the most challenging time of year. Any advice for people like me who want to at least pretend to be healthy over the holidays?
Probably the biggest thing we can do is start cutting some of the sugars out of what we're eating. A lot of what happens is the weight gain comes from the constant, grazing as we go through. If we can start swapping some of those sugary stuff out with, berries, and you can use sweeteners like whipped cream, that helps quite a bit cut back on the sugar, which in turn makes us fat.
Well, listen, I'm an anti-sugar guy, and so I was very excited to see the scientific community come up with some great sugar alternatives, but they get poo-pooed on for other reasons, whether it's saccharin or aspartame or sucralose. I love all those. What's your opinion on those?
So those have come up with some pretty negative research on them. So I use erythritol, monk fruit, stevia, allulose. Those are usually the ones that we're
Hang on. Let's go back through that. I've heard of stevia. What were those other ones?
Allulose and monk fruit and erythritol. Those are the ones we're using.
Are you saying two words, monk fruit?
Yes.
I've never heard of this. The first time in my life I've heard of monk fruit.
Oh, it's a fantastic. It's a natural sweetener that has no glycemic or caloric effect. And so you can use that to be keto or to just really reduce the amount of sugar you're consuming.
Yeah, well, I do it for vanity's sake. I try and be as presentable as possible. So, I'm trying to, keep Miss Parker interested. And that's the reason I do it. It's just for vanity. It's not for health.
And that's fine, too, because if you're keeping the fat off by regulating your sugars, it's going to help your health as well. You can do the vanity and the health thing at the same time. It's actually easier to do it that way.
Right. Well, it's just being healthy is a good side effect of being vain is what I've noticed. So what do you think about my health tip? Look, I like to drink. My version of the Jack and Coke, though, is a bourbon and Dr. Pepper. I feel like since I've switched to Dr. Pepper Zero, I've at least taken one of the bad things out of that equation, the high fructose corn syrup.
And that's one of the things we do all the time is we're like, what's the better option? Like, the Coke, the Dr. Pepper Zero and the bourbon isn't as good as water, but it's a heck of a lot better than what it was. And so that's a great trend in the right direction.
Thank you. All right. Look, there was a headline that had me thinking about you right before the show started. I'm like, don't we have like a medical guy on today? There was the proposal floated of the idea of these new weight loss drugs, the semaglutides or GLP-1s or whatever they're called, being covered by Medicare and Medicaid. Now, look, me being a limited government capitalist pig, usually I'm like, well, I don't think we should be having the government pay for more things. But if we're going to be paying for their medical care anyway, maybe we would get a better deal if we funded their weight loss instead of funding like their insulin or their knee replacement surgery or their bariatric surgery or whatever else. Your thoughts?
So the GLPs actually activate a very natural pathway. It's off of glucagon, and it helps the body to reset the way your body uses sugars to begin with, so you can use it to end diabetes. And so it's a much healthier way and a much, much, much more cost-prohibitive way of treating long-term health. So 100%, if we can start using that stuff instead of, like you said, paying for everything else, it's, a giant step in the right direction.
Well, I've always been kind of pushing back against because I'm a medical skeptic myself, but the other medical skeptics, I think, take it too far when they're like, well, if your doctor is giving you a pill instead of telling you to diet and exercise, you're going to the wrong guy. And it's been my observation that nobody likes dieting or exercise, and so you better give them the pill, because if you tell them to diet and exercise, they're going to lie to your faces like, yeah, sure, I'll do that, sure, and they're just going to go continue killing themselves. So I think this sort of solves that problem, and the problem is really Americans' reticence or hesitance to diet and exercise.
A lot of times it's because they don't know how to do it. Because a lot of times well, I don't want to give up my pizza, my ice cream, my cookies. You can have all those things as long as you change the chemistry. And so it's very important to actually, if you're going to change someone's diet, that you don't take away their favorite foods. So a lot of times if we'll change the diet properly and ease in the exercise, you can get people to really kind of start changing the way they're doing things, as long as it's not a giant inconvenience. And as long as they have their favorite foods, it makes it easier on them.
Well, and I've also tried – this works really good on guys. It's like you should think not so deeply about things. You should be a little more shallow about it. Because, like, when I'm going I'm looking up a flight of 5 stairs and thinking, should I take these stairs or take the elevator? I think, well, what would find me more favor with Miss Parker? And damn it, I'd take the stairs.
And, that's the thing we should start looking into is, how can I make myself more appealing to my wife? Because, again, at the end of the day, you want to maintain those relationships. That stress of the marriage is a lot easier if you guys both maintain your attractiveness. So that's a great plan of thinking of it that way, is like, how am I going to maintain the attractiveness for my wife? That's a phenomenal thought.
Right. And if we're all going to be, thinking with the wrong body part, let's at least point that in the right direction. The only reason I have any semblance of health now is because of, I've managed to turn one of my carnal desires into a positive.
Well, and, that's one of those big things. It's you value your wife, you value your relationship, so you're willing to do the work in order to maintain that relationship. It's a phenomenal way of looking at it, and I think more people should start looking at it that way.
Dr. Matt, thank you for not shaming me for being pro-alcohol and talking about drinking and switching out Coke Zeros, because I have, like, my little friends who are like, you're killing yourself with zero sodas. Stop it.
There's other choices you can make as you go down the line, but at the end of the day, we all got to start somewhere. And this is the big thing, because people are like, I like all these things. I'm a -5. I don't want to go to a +5. That's way too much change. Well, great. Let's make small incremental changes as we go, and sooner or later, you're going to end up pretty healthy.
All right. Well, you won me over. Find them at chalmerswellness.com. Who needs to go to chalmerswellness.com?
Man, pretty much anybody who's looking for a way to find better health for them. So, like, I do a podcast every morning on Dr. Chalmers 1 on X and Facebook. So if you guys look that up, you can get some good information on how to keep yourself healthy.
Well, I'll look it up, because after COVID, I find I agree with about 4% of doctors on planet Earth, and you may be one of them. So thank you very much, Dr. Matt Chalmers, everybody.
Thank you, sir.